Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the Serious Strategy Gamer and we're returning to Let's Play of War in the East, of course, where we're playing as the Germans against the Soviets in 1941-1942. It is December 1941, very harsh winter. The Soviets are making a huge push up here in the north and in the south even. But we have finally made it into Moscow. They had guarded it relatively lightly, so we made it into here and we actually captured this part of the town on the southern bank of the river, but only with a single tank division. Only the 19th Panzer Division has made it into the city itself. And I do not think that it will hold on. It's only got 11,000 men. Most of its equipment is down. It's down to 50% of what it needs of its supposed strength. Very few men over here. So this is going to be extremely difficult for us to really make a breakthrough over here. Do we have anything over here? We've got a Werfer battalion. And a heavy Werfer battalion actually. So maybe, just maybe, but I do not dare to hope that we will be able to hold Moscow itself, let alone advance further into it. But the Soviets do have a couple of units over here on the other side of the river. There's a fortified region, there's only an army division over here, so that's not actually too strong. They've got, on the other hand, a cavalry and a rifle division over here. But most importantly, on the southern bank of the river, they do have 2 divisions and a cavalry corps, so very significant units, I would say, over here. You can see more than 500 infantry squadrons supported by 400 mortar battalions, so that's rather significant. And on the other side of the river here, there's another 300 infantry divisions over there, so this is a fairly significant. Well, I suppose what I could do is attack here, more or less just in the hope of weakening these guys. We've got about 7 combat strength to attack with. I suppose they will be much stronger than we are, but I also suppose that that might at least reduce their ability to attack us from multiple sides. Or at least weaken them a little bit. Let's try it. So, we're actually winning over here, I think. Is that true? We're winning. We're attacking 45,000 men against 10,000. We're losing about 350 men. That's a significant number of men that we're losing here. And 12 artillery pieces. They are losing not that much more actually. But it does seem like we are getting them to withdraw. And that I find very, very nice, because indeed that does mean they're not quite able to attack quite as well into our flank here. And that might actually mean we can move forward over here. And yes! Yes! Good! Oh god, this feels good. Okay, so that means we can bring the 255th Infantry Division with all its pioneers. Only a single pioneer battalion, really? Well, you know what, that's fine still. We can bring it into Moscow proper, so that's very lovely. So the zone of control, getting rid of this zone of control of this guy over here, means we are now into Moscow with 2 infantry divisions, with 2 divisions, 1 infantry, 1 tank. And I'm extremely happy about that, because of course tanks, infantry divisions are much more likely to be able to defend in this type of circumstances. And I suppose what we could also do is bring up our 27th Corps here just a little bit closer towards Moscow, so that it's more effective at rendering support over there, and that's fine. We have built a couple of fortifications over here. We are trying to hold out here in the north. We're trying to pull back a little bit, because of course the Soviets are having this massive attack here in the northern part and even in the southern part, where we are very, very low on any defenses. So that's something that we do need to keep in mind. But you know what, I think that concludes our little turn over here. And yeah, I suppose we cannot attack over here with you at all. No. So that's something that will happen next time. Unfortunately, I can't pull you out, and I think these guys might move into here. Not much I can do. These guys will be displaced in that case. So you know what, I think it's fine. Let's end the turn over here and see what the Soviets are going to do. We don't. Oh, one more thing that I should mention is I've taken the 3rd Panzer Army here and I assigned it to Army Group North, which is now stationed over here, so that there's a little bit more balance between the Army Group South and North and Center, and everyone is a little bit more efficient at doing their job. Army Group Center was a little bit overloaded with its what it needed to do, really. Well, so I suppose they will try to dash onto this little town over here more. They might try to take Moscow back. We'll have to see. It would be great if we could at least capture this southern bank of the river so that we are a little bit safer over here. And of course it would be extremely brilliant if we could capture Moscow itself, but that's simply, I think, not gonna happen. So we are gonna have to see whether there's anything that goes there. Just a couple of recon missions here flown by the Russian Air Force in weird places, I have to admit. Very much in the south over here. That doesn't bode too well. Things over here seem to be more or less not too hot. Now it's in their movement phase. Let's see where they are taking. Okay. Stop, pause. So they are taking into Ryshev. Ryshev is one of the areas that we are trying to defend very strongly. We have 27,000 men, they've got 63,000 men. They are losing more than 2,000 men attacking. 900 damaged, 1,400 lost. We are losing about 150 men, bringing a couple of fighters. Looks like okay for us. I'm not sure whether we are going to be forced to withdraw over here. Odds seem to be in our favor. Our fortifications aren't quite as high as I would like them to be, and we only have a Stück battalion, whereas these guys are bringing in a lot of support and a lot of units. I mean, this is 67,000 men, so that's rather... No, we are being forced to retreat, and that's extremely bad because Ryshev is A, extremely important for us, and B, another attack here on the flank, that's not quite as important. Yeah, but losing Ryshev is rather unfortunate. I would not have thought that we'd be losing that. We're also being attacked over here in this flank. That's not quite as bad for us. These guys are trying to retreat anyway. Some interdiction of Russian forces, I think, with our air force. That's nice. Not quite critical. Another attack over here on the flank again. These guys are doing a fighting retreat anyway. I hope they don't get obliterated. I hope they make it back to our front lines, basically. We are only trying to re-establish over here. But it's good to see that they're holding out. Although this guy really should retreat. He's really exposed. And that we didn't manage to keep Ryshev is extremely unfortunate. Let's have a look over here. So they are pushing up against this part of the river. It's interesting they seem to have withdrawn a little bit over here. That's interesting. Another attack over here in the forested. So they're really pushing on all fronts now, but overall you can see the exchange rates that we're getting over here. So that's about 40 men against 1,300 lost on their side. Seems like we are holding out here again, and it's like 80 guys against a lot more than on their side. Although we are losing a couple of tanks over here. They are too, but it's not quite the same ratio. On the other hand, they are attacking across a small river over here, so that's why I think there is a lot of trouble over here. You can see that I think these are different. These are parts of a different army, so these guys are receiving a little bit of a drawdown. You can see how much they are committing in terms of additional resources there. Another attack down here in the south, which seems to be going alright for us. Even though they are taking a 2-to-1 ratios, we are killing a lot of men over there. Sending some stuff over there, some supplies via aircraft. So they haven't attacked us in Moscow, but they have attacked us in the north around Ryshev. So let's see what's going on over there. And they're definitely pushing up here in the south where we have practically nothing, only a little bit of a token force behind this river over here, behind the Deshna, I guess, and the New Russa? I don't know. Right, let's see what the turn force is going to say. So logistics, we always tend to lose a lot of units there, but all in all, it seems like this turn, it's relatively fine for us. We've lost 16,000 men disabled. They'll come back. So we losses, 10,000 men killed, only 900 men killed on our side. That's a good ratio, and overall they're losing a lot more men than we do. Losing a couple of tanks over here, that is not quite great, including 14 tanks. That's really not... 14 Panzer IIIs. More than that even. More than 20 Panzer IIIs lost on our side. And they don't really take the same losses in their tanks. Only a couple of T-66, which is only a very light tank, so that's not quite as good for us. But yeah, let's see. So what have we got? We have secured Moscow. In fact, they have pulled back from this part of the river. That's good for us. And it seems like they only have the fortified region up here. This is mind-blowing. If only we could attack over here and capture this. They still have a very strong force over here. I mean, it's a very small unit, but even this, due to the fact that it's in urban terrain, behind rivers, and probably has very good fortifications, fortification level 3 there. That's fantastic. That's an extremely good defensive fortification, so I suppose we will not be able to make it into there, but only the fact that we are keeping this down here, that's great. And down here, just with the cavalry corps, this is being boosted to 45 defensive value. There's simply no chance whatsoever that we are going to take that. Right. The situation here in the north looks kind of desperate. At least they were, I mean, they took Reshef, but let's look at the railroad situation. Okay, it's not great because something over here, I don't know why. Okay, these guys are cutting the supply this way and it's not flowing that way. Okay, that's interesting to know, but I think we will be able to take these guys out this time. They should be very low on organization and supplies, so that's okay. So before we do anything else, I suppose what we're going to do is take care of the railroads, because otherwise I'll forget and that's not going to be great. Southern situation is not that great either. Over here it looks kind of stable, so that's okay. I think that we weren't really pushed back over here, so that's okay too. But I think it does make sense to bring up some supplies down here. I would really like to close this little gap over here, because right now all of our supplies, all of them, everything that flows up here is flowing through this little railway line up here. And if that was cut off due to partisan activity or something, we'd be in big trouble. So I would at least like to make sure that we are getting this connection up and running over here. So let's see whether we can do that. And up over here in the north, I think it would make sense to bring this line down here towards Kaluga. Alternatively, we could bring it up from here and just don't rely on parallel lines as much. Although the parallel lines do have the advantage that we can ferry troops around quite quickly actually. So yeah, I think it would be nice. So next area would be up here. Can't really move into here because there's a unit here right now, so we'll have to move that out of the way. And we've got a second unit up there, so that definitely needs to go away. I suppose what we could do is try to build up this railway line over here towards the rear, so that we can react here a little bit more and shuffle troops there a little bit more easily. But we're going to have to see about that, I think. Right, so let's try to pick you. Okay, so we'll have to do it at the end of the turn, because I'm not sure how stable we are going to look up here. Okay, but we must not forget. Okay, so let's look at the situation. Down here in the south, probably easiest to decipher. We've got only token forts again over here on this side of the river. They are advancing, but I think we are doing more or less okay. We are digging in a little bit here at least. So this is 42% towards level 1. This is... yeah, well, at least we do have a decent force over here and even a fortified zone up here, so I think we are relatively safe over here. This unit is also okay. You are what? You're the second army. Who's your commanding corps? Over there. Why are you so far away? That's you, isn't it? Why are you so far away up here in the north? Must have mistaken these guys then. Okay, let's move you down here. Okay, so that makes much more sense to me. Yeah, you're controlling these units. Yeah, that's much better. Railway line isn't quite here yet, but doesn't necessarily need to be. As long as these guys are fine over here. You're very low on supply, that's true. But if we are getting over here, I think we might be a little bit better off. That's okay. And then you should potentially be up here. Or at least somewhere in this vicinity. I don't think you'll be able to break through over here. So I suppose you will be alright. We've got 2 divisions over here that we should try to send down one way or another. It would be great to have some mobile units and just cut into the rear of these guys. Cut off this threat. We could try to use our infantry units for that, but would they really make it that far? I suppose not. And these guys are starting to look a little bit more threatening than maybe they were before. Rifle division, cavalry corps, yeah. 2 divisions up here. Situation up here looks quite stable, I have to say. Could actually advance some in some of these areas. Wouldn't do us that much good, I think. Might make their supply here a little bit worse, which wouldn't be that bad for us. But the supply over here of these guys is all coming via Tula, basically. I mean, you could cross the river, but I suppose that only makes it a little bit more difficult for us as well. And we are here in a decent fortified position, so I think we'll be alright like that. This here looks a little bit like you're trying to get through, but I don't think you will be able to. And up over here we do have this bend in the river, which I find a very, very important position, as I'm sure I've said multiple times by now, because it's sort of controlling a lot of the zone of control over here and this strategic mobility by the Russians, so that I think is still good to keep. There's no way we can make a sweeping breakthrough over here at all, I think. Even if we were to cut back these guys and potentially these guys, it just isn't really viable to make much of a play here with the turquoise units. And yeah, and then we are up here on Moscow itself, but at least it's looking a little bit better. And this is fairly stable, but this here really isn't. So I think our main focus must be to ferry troops over here and just make sure that we are a little bit more stable over there. Can you not get in here? See, you could reoccupy the city, and I think that might not be the worst idea. Yeah. It's interesting that you are bringing in one of the construction battalions over here to, I guess, fix this area. This is not one of our dynamic ones, but one of the ones that... Oh, you are part of Army Group North. Okay, which... Can't we do 16th Army? I think that would be completely appropriate. So let's assign it towards the 16th Army. There's no admin cost associated with that. So yeah, but that does make more sense. Can I assign anything to you? Just flag. Doesn't really make any sense. Can I assign anything to you? No. Okay, you're building that line up there. That's a little bit pointless, but what can you do? And other than that, yeah, that connection up there is going to be alright. As long as it frees up units, I guess I'm going to be alright. Yeah, and this here is the important bit. Alright, good. So, first things first, let's see what we can do up here to stabilize the overall situation. So I suppose what we're definitely going to do is we're going to bring back these 2 infantry divisions up here into this city, try to occupy it. It's going to be good terrain for us. And I think we are going to be extremely happy to have this area, even though your supply situation there doesn't look that great. On the other hand, we've got a couple of... Oh, can I do that? Yeah, I can. So that's not what I wanted to do. Right, so we've got a couple of tank divisions over here, including the SS, which I suppose we could shore up the defenses here a little bit more even. Try to bring more units there. We're definitely under pressure up here. So let's try to move you back. Suppose I don't want you to be moving here. So let's get over here. Can't move any further. Right, the green units are putting up a defense over here, but you do need to make your way back. Otherwise you are going to be in extreme trouble over there. And I suppose what we need to do is swing you guys all the way over here. Plug the gap there. Do we maybe want to move one of our motorized divisions into the city as well? I mean, this area here should also be protected. This is such an extremely strong position over here. 20 defensive ranks. That's enormous. That's a lot. There's much we can do over here to cut off their supply, I suppose, is there? I mean, all of it's coming from via Toshkov. If we got Toshkov, All of these guys down here would have a much harder time to supply, but these are pipe dreams. There's no way we can make that happen, I suppose. Okay, let's move you over here. Starting to bring you back together a little bit. And then this green unit is more associated with these guys, that's fine. So we'll need to think about the situation down here. Suppose we can move all of you here. And then attack this guy. How can you still retreat? You must be shattered. Damn it, they're holding out even. You must... How can you still retreat? You should give up. I don't get that. I think I might be misreading the rules of the game entirely. Right, okay, you're gonna come here. Well, at the very least, our supply lines should not be cut off anymore. No, it's not. This is a little bit bollocks. Hey, you. Suppose I would like to move you up here. Let's get you over there. And you down here are now on the railway line, aren't you? That's the 46th Panther Corps. You've got units where? These two? One over here. Okay, that's just the 5th Panzer Division itself. Can you move up here at all? You could only move up till here. What if I take the railroad? You could come all the way over here. You could even come all the way over there. Even though I suppose that would cost a lot of movement points. Okay, let's try to bring it towards this here as close as we can. Get off from the train. And then you still have a little bit of movement points left. And you could even block the gap over there. That's good to see though then. Okay, let's bring you up towards the east there a little bit more. And I think that's alright, good. And you guys over here, well, do come there. I think this is the most important unit to try to preserve. Right, you guys over here, you haven't moved at all. So I suppose I really should start to move you towards the east. There are a couple of divisions over here that aren't really that great. Okay, you guys are part of the 60th? 60th? No, 40th Panther Corps, sorry. Right, 40th Panther Corps, you are this dude, someone over here, and you. Oh. Okay, you. I can probably only get you onto... I can't even get you on a railway line. You're so low on fuel then. Supply details. Have you received any fuel? Just 10 units. Okay, you just need to crawl back, I suppose. Ever so slowly. Ah. It's also you. You are on a railhead. So let's bring you up here as well. Get off the train. And move up a little. Can you? Ah. Can you now? Yeah, good. Right, and then lastly, one more, I suppose? Yeah, this infantry unit itself. I suppose I could move you up here. Okay, let's do this. Infantry is going to come up here. You're part of the 46th. 46, you've got what? You've got an infantry and 2 panzer divisions. And you are part of the 40th, and you've got what? Shouldn't we switch that around maybe a little bit? Yeah, I think so. Let's do a minimal reorganization here, and let's find out who your guy is. You are sort of good in both things. 6 on both mechanized and infantry. And you from Frittinghof, you're also good in both things. Okay, that's alright then. So I suppose since you are close over here, the 40th, let's assign you here towards the 40th. So only a single admin point that is being used for that. That's great because now you are controlling these two guys, and that's alright. And I suppose this headquarter unit, the 46, that's alright. Let's ask you here then to be reassigned to the 46. 46 Pathicore, single admin point. And that way everyone is much closer to where they need to be. You can actually get onto that point spot. Good. And you are also part of this. Can I, maybe, should I? Who else? You. And you can't make it any further over here. Okay, so yeah, then I'll also reassign you. A little bit inefficient, but you know what, I think it's fine. So that was the, sorry, XL, there we go. Yeah, so now you are controlling mostly units that are very close to you, and that I suppose is very good. You're part of the 12th Corps. The 12th Corps is stuck somewhere more or less on the front lines. Over there then. Need to disentangle these units a little bit more. Is there any way we can advance onto Moscow itself? Capture this area over here. Well, you guys could come over there and potentially do that. How much points is that worth? Up over here, this is 200 victory points for us at the end of the scenario, and 50 every turn that we do hold it. I think I checked and there's no point in blocking this railway line here, so unfortunately there's not much benefit in doing that. But on the other hand, just keeping this position up here, it's also kind of nice because there's another river up here, and this is sort of a good defensive position, I think, along this line basically. Shortens our front line a little bit, puts it behind rivers. Some of these areas are impassable, so yeah, I think it's extremely tempting to go for this position. It's very lightly defended, it's 200 victory points, it's 50 victory points per turn. And it does bring us closer towards being able to capture this, should the need arise. Downside is, this is not really that well supplied, so if we do look at the raid situation, we might actually want to use this guy here, that is, I think, up here or over here somewhere, to maybe bring that up even closer towards Moscow. Is there a link over here? Oh, there might not be a link there. Oh, look at that. There is no rail link between these two fields. That's why they could cut me off over here, and that's why this is not actually linked to one another. Okay, that's interesting. I didn't quite see that. So that potentially means we should actually try to connect that via Moscow itself. Yeah, I think we should do that. Ooh, this is completely missed that. Okay. Right, come on. So where are you? You're over here, right? Yeah. Okay, yeah. Let's bring you up over here. Let's repair there. We can bring you up a little bit closer. That's okay. And over here? No. Where? Over here? You? Is that true? Yeah, I think you should be going this way then, yeah. So that does mean we'll have to move someone out of here. That's definitely doable. I mean, in their eagerness to put so many troops on our northern flank over there, I think they might be underestimating what we've still got over here. and what we could potentially throw at them. So how far can our motorized units go? They can even go way behind them. Even over here. This is extremely tempting because it would also mean that they'll have an extremely hard time to move about. We can also bring you way over here, which is also good. Yeah, these motorized units that are finally in a little bit of supply are doing us very, very good service over here. So if I took you and moved you over here, there's only 4 movement points. Let's do it. I mean, they are still extremely strong. We shouldn't underestimate that. This is 7 defensive strength, and we need 14 to kick them out, really. But we can bring up a lot of infantry. Could even ask you to support this attack. Even you. Yeah, I think we might have enough here. Okay, yeah. Okay, let's do it. Let's first try to do a recon mission over here. Just trying to make sure that we've got very good detection on all of these guys. Still haven't got that over here, so let's find another mission there. Come on. And now let's fly a good mission over here. So I don't think we need that many fighters, really. 70 fighters should be fine to me. A couple of dive bombs don't hurt. You really can't contribute enough aircraft, so I think we're going to be alright over there. And let's launch that. 43 bombers, 50 fighters. Only 3 men damaged, even in a single artillery piece, so it's really not that much. Do another bombing raid over here, 13 men killed, 2 artillery pieces. And they still aren't that weak. But let's try to do an attack over here. I don't want to use the tanks because it's urban terrain, but everyone else really should attack over here, and let's see what's going to happen over here. Moscow population evacuates because they are on the attack. That's understandable. So we are attacking with 84,000 men against 6,000, and we are losing about 300. They are losing about not even 100. We've got a couple of fighters here. They're losing a couple of artillery pieces. They're losing fortifications, but we've kicked them out of there. So that's extremely nice to see. I really, really like that because they have actually surrendered, and that is very nice. And that definitely means we can bring up our forces here. Lovely to see. And did I just misread the railway lines again? Let me have a closer look at it. Yeah, I did, because there's no link between these two. So I have to go all the way up here. Oh my, okay, that is much more annoying than I thought, but it still makes sense to connect all of this up. Even though it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 positions, but I think we'll be alright over here, so yeah, you guys do need to come up there. That's fine. We are in no way gonna attack over here, that's simply out of the question. But I suppose what we could try to do is bring you up here. No, you can't do that. That's too bad. Can't really push any one of you up at all. Can I actually push you here with the 4 movement points up here? I cannot. Okay. Well, we still got the motorized, the tanks, and all of these units, so that is nice to see. And it's still tempting to go up over here. We might be kicked out from over here, but it's also gonna block their reinforcements, and it's actually gonna drive back this unit up over here, and that is also very nice to see. It should also make their reinforcements and supplies much harder to... It might actually be very close to encircling Moscow over here on a very We've tried to do that before, and it's weird that we are now almost doing that in this blizzard conditions. But still, I mean, if we can do that, that'd be great. We would need to kick back these guys. Can you come over here? You could get over here, and you could potentially even get into here, despite all of the zone of control. We only need to kick back these guys, and we might have them encircled over there. That would be great. So let's try to focus on this, because capturing this area up here, that would be major. That would be a swing of 1,000 victory points at the end of the episode, at the end of the game, and more than 100 victory points per turn. So this here is really the prize. So I'm going to take some risks to achieve that, even knowing all of this is looming up over there. So that is something that I do want to do. And in terms of the rail lines, we'll simply have to connect everything up. Good. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I do think I have to put a cut in here. It's annoying a little bit that these guys here haven't surrendered yet. But at some point they will need to. I think they should show up as... Yeah, I really wonder why they're not surrendering. I think under normal circumstances, these guys should surrender. Not sure why they're not doing that. Right, so in between episodes I'm going to look at the position of all of these guys, whether they should be reinforced to some extent, or whether we can do anything over here. And seeing the rail situation up here, I think we should make sure that this here is not interrupted anymore, so that these guys can't flee to the north. But whether or not that's really possible, we'll have to see. You're a very small unit, but you might still block someone. Right, thank you very much for watching, guys. Do leave a like and all of that, and see you again next time. Bye bye.